Did you know there are free and discounted safety programs for commercial fishermen available on every coast? It's true. Today, we're talking with POCF Ashley Green, who is the training coordinator for AMSEA, which stands for Alaska Marine Safety Education Association, located in Sitka, Alaska. In this episode, we get into Ashley's work with AMSEA, the various courses they offer for free or at reduced rates for fishermen around the country, and why partners of commercial fishermen may want to attend too. We also discuss Ashley's relationship with her fisherman Tyler, her experience as a partner of a commercial fisherman, including family adjustments when Tyler is away, plus the challenges and rewards of running a direct marketing seafood business. Let's dive in. I'm Megan Waldrop, host of the Partners of Commercial Fishermen podcast, an extension of an online community created for partners to connect worldwide, find helpful resources, and share stories to feel less alone in this incredibly unique and adventurous way of life. The POCF podcast invites fishermen, family, friends, supporters, or those curious to know more about the commercial fishing community to join conversations as we learn from each other, laugh, sometimes cry, and relate with those who are the faces behind each catch. What do you say? Let's dive in. Ashley Green, so happy to see you again. The last time we hung out, or the first and last time we hung out, was at the Pacific Marine Expo last year. But we had connected through a National Fisherman article before that, that I did with Carly Stewart. And so happy to have you on today. So thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And let's start at the beginning. I want to know more about you. Where are you from and where are you coming to us now?
I'm originally from Washington, grew up in the Tacoma area and lived there before we moved to Sitka, Alaska, which is where I'm hailing from now. We've lived here for, what year is it now? Let's see, 7, 8 years, and had been coming up for years before that to fish in the summer.
Nice. Okay, so I have to ask, like, pop culture, did you go to the high school where 10 Things I Hate About You was filmed? Because wasn't that filmed in Tacoma?
It was filmed in Tacoma. That was filmed at Stadium High School. Used to be the Tacoma Hotel, I believe, back in the day. And it's still a functioning high school. It's right downtown. And I did not teach there. I taught in the Tacoma School District for 5 years before we moved up here. And I did not do high school. But yeah, it's pretty iconic.
Yeah. I'm like such a tourist that I have to ask that anytime someone says Tacoma. Okay. And please tell us how you met your fisherman.
I met my fisherman, Tyler. I was in college, just about to transfer to start my teaching degree. And I was living with a roommate with a gal that I worked with. And there was a little neighborhood biker bar, kind of a hole in the wall a couple blocks away. And we frequented that and because we could walk there. And we were working on our Halloween costumes the week before Halloween and decided to throw in the bag on that and walk to the bar and said, screw this, let's go have some beers. And sure enough, there was already like a costume party going on, and he was there with some friends, and I was documenting it with my little like digital camera and stuff. And so I have pictures from like the night we met, and after that we had coffee, and just kind of sparked from there.
That's so sweet. And so when he said he was a commercial fisherman, did you have any experience or know what that was like at all?
Well, so as we got to know each other at the time, he wasn't fishing. He actually was had just started a job on the North Slope in Alaska, working on the oil fields and driving trucks and stuff. And so he had fished previously, and then moved on to that. So when, the summer came around, it was like, oh, well, do you want to go to Sitka with me? And I said, yeah. So I, took my, I don't know, week or 2 week vacation and then came up and, um, we kind of dabbled in commercial fishing for a few years there, and then decided to really get into it again.
Yeah. I love in your notes that you said that you didn't have any experience, but you grew up with fish sticks. And I totally identify with that. That's so great. Military
Yeah.
brat. And then, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, yeah. My dad and my brother would fish. I have lots of memories of like going to lakes and rivers. And yeah, my dad was in the Army. So I remember being outdoors a lot when we were stationed in Maryland when I was a kid, from ages of like 3 to 6. And then when we moved back to Washington, rolling around with my brother and, hitting all the back roads on Fort Lewis and stuff. So
Nice. Awesome. And so what kind of responsibilities do you have as a partner of a commercial fisherman in your family?
well, I think most often, we have a 5-year-old daughter. She's almost 6. So I kind of forgot to put this in there, but being the default parent, first and foremost, I have the landside job and manage the household largely, as well as, trying to keep things straight for the business and kind of supporting him as well.
Nice. Okay. And so you mentioned the business. Can you tell us about your business and what that entails?
Well, first and foremost, it's funny because when he first started fishing and he was just selling to the fish plants, and he's like, well, you still have to get like a business license and yada yada. And, it's a business. And I'm like, oh, well, it's kind of, I don't think a lot of people get into it looking at it that way. Because, traditionally it was like you caught your fish, you sold your catch to the plant, and, you were essentially working for the plant. And in recent years, really during COVID, once he decided to step away from being on the slope, he considered doing direct marketing, and getting more for your catch. Because we've always seen this disparity of, how much you get at the dock per pound for, because we troll for salmon, the highest quality salmon, individually caught. And then you see how much it's sold for at Pike Lake Market or, the grocery store, and how much fishermen aren't getting for their high quality fish. So we had an opportunity to kind of dabble in that, and learned a lot of things, not only about business, but kind of about ourselves and about us as a couple. And so we tried that for a couple years, and last year we kind of took a step back. It was difficult to manage with all the other things that life brings us. And now we're going back and forth on possibly trying to pick it back up. But
Right. And then what's the name of the business so everybody look out for it once you pick it up?
so our business name is Fish Haven. So if you look on a nautical chart, there's a little caricature that will show a fish haven that like fish like to hang out. So, and our vessel's name is the Fishing Vessel Haven. It's a 1946 Tacoma boat, old wood boat. So that was also like kind of a full circle thing of finding a boat that was built back in the 40s where we, are from. So I always joke that for the years of like looking at houses and boats and cars and trucks and stuff like that, he always said, I don't want a red truck or a wood boat And sure enough, when we moved up here, it was like he had a red truck and what a boat.
That's hilarious. I mean, how is the wood boat experience? I mean, it's probably another person in your family now, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. It's kind of like one of those things of like, you love to hate her, you hate to love her. It's a love-hate relationship. Wood boats are just their history on water. They're just the coolest things. Each one is an individual, like a person, with their body style, their characteristics, and everything, and how they run, but they're a lot of upkeep as well. The maintenance required for them is really difficult, and in recent years, Sitka's lost their haul out services, and so it's made it even increasingly difficult. So now we have to travel farther. So then that's time spent away, and not just having the access. And you have to get creative if you have to do any major repairs, and wait for a good tide or something, and put it on the grid.
Yeah, got it. Thanks for sharing about that. I love the boat name and the Fish Haven full circle business name and all that good stuff. And I want to talk about, I was just doing the math. So y'all started the fishing business around COVID, which was within 4 years. And you have
Yeah.
a almost 6-year-old daughter. So that's amazing that you were able to even go forward on that adventure with a young child. And I was wondering, before you got married, did you have any conversations about what kind of responsibilities you take on with kids, or did it kind of just come up and you took the reins?
Um, you know, that's funny because like everybody always asks, like, do you remember this? And I'm like, no, I don't remember anything. Everything's a blur a lot of times. You remember the big moments, but yeah, I mean, I don't think we really were very explicit in discussing, like specific roles and responsibilities, and who would do what. I think, I mean, in some ways, we're kind of fitting some of those stereotypical gender norms, but in many ways, like, I've always been pretty like independent, and I'm not afraid to get my hands dirty. Like before we had our daughter, I was down on the boat helping them all the time and stuff like that. And, I found joy in doing that kind of stuff. And now it's, trying to balance some of it and seeing what I can help with, and, what she can tolerate or what she really needs to be around or not.
Yeah, totally understandable. What does she think of her dad's job? Does she understand like, what the concept is of commercial fishing?
Yeah, she'll be like, oh, well, he's down on the boat, or like, he's out fishing, and we kind of just carry on normal day to day, life here when he's gone. And we will take her down on the boat and stuff like that, and for short projects and stuff, or and we've started going out on the boat as a family more. We went camping this last summer for a week, and we took the big boat because everything's already on it, and so we just kind of use it as like a hub of going back and forth between our cabin that we had. And so yeah, she's comfortable on it and likes it.
Well, that's great. I love that. And I forgot what I was just going to ask about that dynamic as well, but I will come back to it. So I'd love to hear more about your involvement with the Southeast Alaska Women in Fisheries, and then we'll talk about your position as a training director with AMSEA. So first, with the Southeast Alaska Women in Fisheries, how did you get involved?
I'm trying to think. See, it's a blur. I was brought to my attention that they were around. They always host an annual like fisherman's flea market in May. We have a large parking lot over on the other side of the channel where there's the University of Alaska Southeast campus, and there's also a high school over there, and it's a large parking lot. And they coordinate to have fishermen, load up their stuff in their trucks and back in and start selling. And so we've always gone to that. And then I can't remember exactly what like pointed me there. Possibly the president came by my office one day because she had life jackets and stuff from that. We also manage so state of Alaska has the Kids Don't Float program. And so we have loaner life jacket boxes at the top of the harbors all around the city. So, people have access to putting their kids in life jackets so they don't fall off the dock and, kids don't float.
Oh, that's smart. I love hearing about these different initiatives and projects that are put in place. And I saw here, so what is the mission? So the mission of the Southeast Alaska Women in Fisheries is to promote sea safety, like the life jacket, and increase the use of Alaska seafood.
Yeah.
Nice. I love that. I wish.
But it's, just kind of providing like a supportive network.
Yeah, so important, as we know, in the partner of commercial fishing communities to have a network of people that you can relate to and go to when you're feeling, all kinds of things, stress about emotions or finances or the future. And just to have that support is so important. And this was the question I forgot. And now I remember. How long is Tyler out for at a time? And how far do you live from the port that he's at?
So Sitka is right on, we face the Pacific Ocean. So and, town's right on the water, basically. So, when he trolls, he doesn't go too far. When he's long lining, his transit up to the fishing grounds is about 18 hours.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, so, it doesn't make it for, especially when the weather's not great, like 24-hour weather windows, it makes it increasingly difficult to try and, hopefully get on the fish and get in and out, but it doesn't always work out that way. So, some of his long lining trips have been upwards of, 2 or 3 weeks out of town. A lot of times finding safe haven in, some nook or cranny to wait out the weather or hopefully also be able to like offload somewhere closer and not have to come back to town back and forth. So that makes everything increasingly difficult as well, with also trying to plan and have things line up to have things processed for the direct marketing sometimes as well. So, you might plan to, just zero out your quota and come in and, offload some here, process some of this stuff, but it doesn't always work out that way. So,
How long is his fishing season?
so long lining is actually getting ready to open this weekend. So that is the federal black cod and halibut, federally managed, and that will go till usually closes in the beginning of December. Now it used to be in like October or November, but we're seeing longer periods. And then the troll season, when everything's working the way it should and there's no hiccups from lawsuits and stuff, then so there's a winter season, the winter king season that people have been out there fishing, and poor guy's been working to get the boat ready and stuff for about a month. And it's just been like illness after illness or not having daycare or, some one thing or another getting in the way. So, and then that'll close for a little bit and then they open it up for like spring hatchery. And then, but the big thing is, the July King opener, which opens July 1st, and it usually lasts for about 5 days or so, depending on weather. And that's the one that, that was in jeopardy from the Wild Fish Conservancy lawsuit that I contacted Carly and you and started trying to get the word out on National Fisherman about.
And so to clarify, what does he troll?
Salmon.
King salmon. Okay.
Yeah, salmon. And then there's also other fisheries like there's a chum fishery, and um, also he'll get coho silver salmon.
Does he bring home pack? Like, does he bring fish home?
Yeah, occasionally. Yeah, usually what he'll do is if you have any, they call them number twos. If you have any like nicks or dings or bite marks or anything from sea lions or sharks or anything, he'll usually keep those for and do home pack.
Nice. And how do y'all prepare what's your favorite way to prepare salmon?
Oh, I guess it just depends. I mean, I always like barbecuing it and getting the extra
Mhm.
flavor on it. And we'll usually do like a split of vacuum packing. We have a vacuum packer and our for ourselves, and then we'll also jar it up.
I love that. That's what Chris used to do in Bristol Bay pre-pandemic. He would go to the kitchen. I guess I don't even know if this is allowed, so sorry. They don't do it anymore. But he would go to the kitchen and can just tons and tons of salmon. And that was like gold to me. I could not wait to eat it. And I remember our last can of salmon, I was so sad to eat it. But it's like the home pack is definitely the bonus. And I mean,
Yeah.
salmon's my favorite. Alaska salmon's my favorite. So I always like to hear how people do it. Okay. Drum roll. Tell us about your work with AMSEA. And also, if you could explain, what AMSEA does and how you got involved, because I feel that on my end, it was amazing to meet y'all at PME, and AMSEA is such an incredible resource for fishermen. And also they work with so many different programs that sometimes it's hard to keep everybody straight. So I would love for you to just give us the basics, like what's AMSEA and what do you do with them and how you got involved?
Yeah. So AMC stands for Alaska Marine Safety Education Association. So we kind of joke sometimes that safety is our middle name, but AMC started back in the 80s when fishing vessel safety was not really even a thing. And so there were vessel disasters and fatalities happening, weekly, it seemed. The numbers were in the double digits. And there was a mother, Peggy Berry, who her son died in a vessel disaster. And so she worked with legislation and passing legislation on, having safety standards for commercial fishing vessels. And so that's kind of where we were birthed from. And then have been establishing ourselves as, excuse me, um, providing safety training for commercial fishermen. So we have a Coast Guard accepted train the trainer course, which gives people the background to be able to teach our Coast Guard accepted fishing vessel drill conductor course. And what that means is we're training captains, crews, skippers, whoever to be able to run onboard safety drills, which if you're in a documented fishing vessel, a federally documented fishing vessel, fishing beyond the boundary line, which is usually sometimes 3 miles offshore. In other places, it's different, or from headland to headland. So from point to point, especially around Alaska, you're required to have monthly safety drills, and they have to be led by somebody who's been trained in one of our courses to do that. And so I kind of fell into AMC when I was still teaching here, and my husband was like, we should take this class. It was actually over spring break. It's spring break right now here. And and it was before we had our daughter. And so it was my first spring break here. And we go sit in this all day long class, which was a lot of really great information. And they mentioned that they had classes for like practicing educators on how to embed it into, your lessons and your curriculum. And I thought, oh, that's really cool, but I never had time to do it. So I didn't do that, but we took our class. And then after teaching here for a few years, I decided to leave public education, and it was just a friend of mine was saying, oh, my friend's, leaving her job, you'd be perfect for it, kind of a thing. And it just kind of all fell together in all the right ways. And so I, finished teaching and gave away most of my stuff and packed up the little I kept and had Memorial Day weekend off and then started with AMC. And so it was just like the nice, perfect mesh of both our worlds. And when I taught down south, we would take students to a YMCA camp every year. And I was always really jealous of and just in awe of the naturalists that work there. And, we were just so good at their jobs and teaching this really engaging content. I'm like, I want that. And so I kind of felt like I fell into something like that, or something that has that potential. And that's kind of, where I've found some ways to kind of create that. So, yeah, so I coordinate training courses and try and recruit instructors all around the country. So we're not just, even though Alaska's in our name, we're not just in Alaska. Our reach is from every coast, and we work with many organizations like NOAA and lots of, fish and game, state agencies, that kind of stuff. And so, yeah, try and think what else we need to say.
No, that was, I was really interesting to learn about AMSEA being at every coast. Because when I went on your website, I'm like, oh, wait, not only are they doing a training, a couple hours north of where I am, I'm in North Carolina, in Wilmington, North Carolina. It's like, oh, they're doing a course in North Carolina. That's interesting. And then I see the Gulf Coast and, all the West Coast and the Northeast. So speaking of the training in North Carolina, I would love to know how did that come about, and what exactly are you guys going to be training?
So we are having one of our train the trainer courses in Morehead City, North Carolina. This particular class is kind of in partnership with North Carolina Sea Grant and Carteret Community College. So we are working with them on a project, on a grant that they are leaders of, and they are creating, it's actually really cool. So they're creating kind of a paid apprenticeship program to get people into the commercial fishing industry, or help also get, new and upcoming fisher folk to, kind of get deeper and stay into the business. And so, part of that is they're going to be embedding the AMSEA safety portion and having the drill conductor course as a part of that. And so we're training a couple of the instructors at Carteret Community College that are going to be involved. And then hopefully also some of their mentors that they have lined up as a part of their apprenticeship program, or really anybody who would like to teach in the area. So part of they're helping further our mission by also embedding the idea of trying to recruit people from the area and some of their largest ports to be able to instruct and be those community contacts for the fleets. And so the idea is to train people to be able to offer it so that we keep costs down and not have to pay, have, so much travel involved, and as well as just having people who understand and have the background in the geography, the fleets, the boats, the people, the gear types, so that they are able to kind of take this baseline course that applies to big boat, small boat, every boat in between, but really talk about, okay, well, when we're talking about different deck hazards. That's going to be different in so many different ways for, different gear types and boats and that kind of stuff. So to be able to kind of customize it and individualize it for people so that, they start thinking about, oh, well, how am I going to get back up on the boat if I fall overboard, or if I'm fishing alone, or if I'm only have, Grandpa Joe that's got a peg leg or something, and really just kind of thinking of putting that mindset into people of thinking about all the different scenarios and then preparing on how they would respond in those circumstances.
That's so interesting and so important. I love that. Yeah, each part of the coast is going to have a tailored training towards that kind of fishery and that kind of boat. That makes so much sense. And so, since y'all are partnering with the Carteret Community College and the North Carolina Sea Grant, does that mean that it's free for commercial fishermen because of that grant? And is it free or reduced rates for commercial fishermen in other ports, or does it just depend on who y'all link up with?
Both. So
Okay.
yeah, so we have, as a part of our grant funding, that we are largely funded through NIOSH, was a part of CDC, that we have some support that we can give towards people in trying to embark on these endeavors, but then also for this one in particular, North Carolina Sea Grant has some extra funding as well available to those who are interested. So, there is potential for people getting a week-long, Coast Guard accepted training for next to nothing, if not nothing, between the two of us, and supporting and trying to get people to, become trainers.
That's so cool. Okay. And so what should people know, or what do they need to know to prepare for going into a training like this?
So for the trainer course, you don't have to have taken one of our classes before. Ideally, we're looking for commercial fishermen who have, experience on deck of fishing vessels, so that they can speak to that. But it's not always, sometimes prior Coast Guard do well and can kind of go between, anybody who has a marine safety focus. So if you led drills and safety plans on larger vessels or something like that, as well as, people who are already educators are great as well. But ideally, if you're missing, one or some of those elements, then they're looking for people who have like large, like 200 gross ton licensure kind of deals. So there is some finesse in trying to find candidates who fit, that. But, largely if you have commercial fishing vessels experience, then you're in.
Nice. Okay. And I was asking my fisherman the other day, I was like, how do you know the proper way to do a Mayday call? And he was telling me, and he goes, well, I got a form, or not a form, but like a sign or something from AMSEA when I did this training. So it's on the boat. I'm like, oh, wow. Awesome. There's like a whole script that y'all have, right? About how to properly.
Yeah, we'll go through and, we give everybody a sticker that they can put right by their radios and, write their vessel name on, and it has the 5 elements of a Mayday call and how you would want to prioritize those depending on your situation and the time available, and how fast you can get one out, as well as alternatives, if you have things lined up, so that if you just have a second, you can just push a button and get the word out, then you can do that. And then also, how not to do a Mayday call as well.
What can you give me an example of how not to do a Mayday call?
Our prime examples, many of us use is a good example of a bad Mayday call that happened off the coast of Oregon, where you have a captain bucketing out water, and he's got some charter client that's making the call, and he has no clue. And luckily, everybody survived that situation, but really hammering in that one thing could have been, one more thing could have caused them to not survive that situation. So.
Wow. Okay. And then I'm interested to know what made you take the course since you're, not a commercial fisherman. What made you take the course with your fisherman?
Well, initially, being on the boat, helping him a lot. And then also, the idea is like, I would fish with him in the summer. Or, I was available in the summer to fish with him. So, I have gone out and done some trips with him. And, so, it wasn't not applicable to me. And especially if it was just me and him on the boat, I would also need to know how to properly respond.
That's such a great point. And also, I love the idea of doing it just for partners of commercial fishermen to understand that fishermen have knowledge on what to do in emergency situations, since a lot of our challenges are mental challenges of thinking the worst of what's going to happen. I haven't heard from them. Is the signal bad or is the boat gone down? You just spiral. But the fact that you can know that your fisherman has been well trained under AMSEA and to know what kind of training they have, I feel like would add that a whole other layer of comfort to know that, which is great. So would love to know, why is connecting with partners of commercial fishermen important in your work and in your career?
Well, I think just to kind of repeat what you said of like, just knowing what they know is sometimes reassurance. And, we've kind of almost used our course, my husband will lean on family, his dad and, the retired guys to come up and, if they want to come help and fish or whatever. And so we've encouraged and largely most of them have been able to take the drill conductor course even prior to coming up to Alaska and so that they have that background. And, I think it's really easy just speaking more for us, like to forget about covering certain things, or especially if you do have people coming on and off the boat frequently and so you are required to do a safety orientation, but we all get busy sometimes too. So, so that I think it's also really valuable for people to know what questions to ask. And for them to be like, oh, well, if they didn't understand, or maybe, kind of jumping to, oh, well, where are your alarms? Or, where are the fire extinguishers or something like that? And just knowing that there's a certain line of communication that you have to establish. And some people are going to be better at that than others. And that, no question is dumb when it comes to feeling safe as well as being prepared.
I love it. And so how can people sign up for these trainings?
Then go to our website at www.amsea.org. And we have all of our upcoming classes listed, and you can sign up online. If you're interested in becoming an instructor, you don't have to pay right at the time of registration. Ideally, we want your registration so we know that you're interested and we can give you as many details as possible. And then we'll collect payment at a later time.
Great. And then you'll be at the Morehead City training, is that correct?
I won't. Okay. I would love to be, but no, we have Jerry Dugan, our former executive director, will be there, as well as one of our main instructors that covers quite a bit of territory from the Gulf of Mexico and the southeast side. So he'll be there as well.
Awesome. Are there any events off the top of your head that's like coming up through the summer that you would want to highlight?
Yeah. So we have, let's see, 4 instructor classes right now on the calendars. I'm actually getting ready to go up to Seward and teach one up there. So if anybody wants to get trained really quick, you can come up to Seward and come hang out with me. And then that is the week of April 8th. We have an instructor class, the Morehead City. In June, we have one in Astoria, Oregon for the West Coast. And then we have an annual class in Seward every year in Alaska in the spring. And then we have a fall class in Sitka. So we'll have another instructor class this fall in Sitka. And I'm also doing a educators workshop for practicing educators. We have a grant for Southeast Alaska to train teachers and, either also like community educators. So, and that's in June here in Sitka.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for your time and explaining all the great resources that fishermen have out there. And yeah, hope to see you. I guess I'll either see you online or if I get lucky enough to go up to Alaska. But thanks so much for your time, Ashely. Appreciate you.
Thank you so much. It was great.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Hey, POCFs, I wanted to just reiterate how amazing our new group text chat is. For all private forum members, you now have access to our private group text chat, which is amazing. Every day you can hop on and chat with other POCFs all around the world, ask questions. Recently, we had a POCF who was kind of freaking out about, not hearing from her fishermen, which is a total common fear that we constantly have running through our heads. But it was so beautiful to see how everybody came together to help her work through it. She ended up hearing from her fishermen, as we usually do, God willing. And it was just really cool to see how that support was taking place live right there on the phone. So if you're interested in learning more, would love for you to join us. Just go to meganwaldrop.com/private-forum to join. Or if you're in the forum and if you want to get into the private chat, you can DM me or you can email support@pocfpride.com. Give us your phone number and we will hook you up. Hope to see you in there. Thank you so much for being here. Your downloads, your reviews mean more than you know, because that's how we know that you are enjoying the podcast. And if you'd like to further support the community, you can tap the subscribe button, share with family and friends, post on socials, or write a review. But you know what? As long as you're getting value, that is all that matters. But if you go that extra step, we truly, truly appreciate it. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And if you're a partner of a commercial fisherman looking for more resources on how to navigate this unique lifestyle, from long distance dating to communication to finances to motherhood advice to mental health, safety, all the things. We're building more resources on succession planning and retirement. It's going to be amazing. There's even an option to join the private forum as well if you jump onto POCFpride.com to learn more. We are there for you. We got all of the community and all of the resources you need, and they are continuing to grow as we learn what you need the most. We can't wait to connect with you, and thank you so much again for being here. Thanks for listening today. Being here means you're a part of the POCF family, and we wouldn't be a community without you. I'm Megan, and this is the Partners of Commercial Fishermen podcast. As always, much love, POCF pride, and remember, you are not alone.